Hey guys, what's happening? So today we're going to be talking about special right triangles. Okay, and the first one we're going to talk about is 45, 45, 90. Okay, it's called a 45, 45, 90 because it's a right triangle, first off, 90. Okay, and then 45 and 45 because remember, if you add up all the angles inside of a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. And if this one's 90 and this one's 45, well, 180 minus 90 is 90, minus 45 is 45, and so this angle right here is 45. So basically what you have is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. It is also isosceles because these two angles are the same, so this side and this side are the same, okay? So what I want to show you really quick is how to find the lengths of the sides, and then hopefully you'll see that there is going to be a pattern that we can use on every single one of these types of triangles, no matter what the size, and we won't have to do all this work that I'm about to show you. For instance, if I say that this side is 1 unit, well then what is the length of this side? Remember, it's isosceles, these two are the same, so this is 1, isn't it? Okay, well, if this is 1 and this is 1, can you tell me what that side is? Of course you can, remember? Isn't this side called the hypotenuse? Didn't we learn that leg squared plus leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared? Okay, well the leg is 1, so that's 1 squared, plus the other leg is 1, so 1 squared equals hypotenuse squared. 1 squared is 1, plus 1 squared is 1 equals the hypotenuse squared. 1 plus 1 is 2. Equals the hypotenuse squared. To solve for the hypotenuse, I need to take the square root on both sides, and so h equals the square root of 2. So basically, we have this, okay? Now, no matter what size this triangle will be, like if this is an 11, then this is going to be an 11. Okay, it's always going to simplify to whatever this side is. If you multiply by the square root of 2, okay, you'll find the hypotenuse. Okay, I kind of want to show you another example, but I don't think we need to. Just know that no matter what the sides are, to go from a leg to a hypotenuse, all you have to do is multiply by the square root of 2. It will always work, I promise, okay? All right, and conversely, to go from a hypotenuse to a leg, you need to divide by the square root of 2, okay? It will always follow this pattern, okay? Whatever the leg is, it's going to match this leg, okay? Whatever these numbers are, to get to the hypotenuse, you just multiply by the square root of 2, okay? 1 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 2, okay? What's the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 2? That's 1. Okay, so here we go. Let's do some examples. What if, okay, what if we have a triangle that's 45, 45, 90, okay, it's 45, 45, 90, all right, and I said that this side right here is 4, okay, all right, well, if this is 45, 45, 90, then it's isosceles, so you know that this side right here is what? That's right, it's also 4, okay. And based on this, what I said, to go from a leg to a hypotenuse, all you need to do is multiply by the square root of 2, right? So this side is simply 4 square root 2. Okay, now watch, I'll prove it to you if you don't believe me. Watch, leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Leg is 4, right? 4 squared plus the other leg is 4. Okay, 4 squared equals hypotenuse squared. Watch, I'll prove to you that the h is going to be 4 square root 2. 4 squared is 16, plus 4 squared is 16 equals h squared. 16 plus 16 is 32, right? Or in other words, 2 times 16. Isn't that true? Isn't this 16 times 2? 16 plus 16, isn't that 16 times 2? Okay, there's a reason I wrote it that way, you'll see. Equals h squared. Okay, now all I need to do to solve for h is take the square root on both sides, right? Okay, well watch this. Square root of h squared is h. Equals, this is the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. What's the square root of 16? It's 4. Square root 2 equals h. The hypotenuse is 4 square root 2. That's what we got right there. Look at all that work. I don't need to do it. If you just remember to go from a leg to a hypotenuse, all you do is multiply by square root 2, you're good to go. Or vice versa, if you're going from a hypotenuse to a leg, you divide by the square root of 2. Okay? Let's do 2 quick ones. All right, we won't have to do all that work as long as you could remember that one thing. Okay, 45, 45, 90. All right, let me put square root of 3 right here. I know that's crazy, but watch this. This is a leg, right? So what's this guy right here? That's right, it's square root 3. What do I have to do to get this guy right here? I have to multiply by square root 2, right? Whatever it is, multiply by square root 2 and you're done. So x equals square root 3 times square root 2. And now just simplify it. X equals square root 6. We're done. Just like that. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's do this. This one might be a little tricky. Check it out. If I have the square root 6 right here, okay, this is our 45, 45, 90. Okay, and I need this guy right here. Okay, well, x equals, if this is a leg, you get x by multiplying by the square root of 2, right? You get the hypotenuse by multiplying by the square root of 2. So square root 6 times square root 2, okay? That means x equals square root 12, okay? But we have to do a little bit more because square root 12 can be simplified, okay? Square root 12 can be broken up into 2 numbers. There's a perfect square hiding in there. Do you see it? That's right, it's 4 times the square root of 3. So square root 4 times square root of 3 is square root 12. The square root of 4 is 2 times square root of 3, and that's what x equals. Okay? All right, let's try a couple more. What if I gave you something like this? What if I gave you the hypotenuse, square root of 5? Okay? All right, well, and I want to solve for the leg. Well, remember, if you have the hypotenuse and you're trying to get a leg, instead of multiplying by square root of 2, you have to divide by square root of 2. So in this case, x equals square root of 5 divided by square root of 2. Do you remember what to do in the case where you have a radical in the denominator? That's right, you need to multiply by 1, square root 2 over square root 2. Okay, and x equals square root 5 times square root 2 is square root 10. Okay, over square root 2 times square root 2, that's just 2. Right, because square root 2 times square root 2 is the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. All right, let's try a couple more. What if I have this? What if I put 8? Okay, what if I put 8 there? All right, and I want x. All right, so here we go, same thing. X equals, to go from a hypotenuse to a leg, you divide by square root 2. Okay, so 8 divided by square root 2. Okay, again, multiply by square root 2, square root 2. All right, so the numerator is 8 square root 2, so x equals 8 square root 2 over square root 2 times square root 2 is just 2. And now notice we can simplify. 8 is divisible by 2, 2 is divisible by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So x equals 4 square root 2 over 1, or just 4 square root 2. All right, let's do one more. Okay, let's try. Let's try 2 more. You guys do these, okay? How about if I put 3 right here and an x right here? How about if I put 2 square root 3 right there and an x right there? Okay, you guys try those. See what happens. All right, here we go. I want to solve for x. So x equals 3 divided by square root 2. All right, square root 2, square root 2. X equals 3 square root 2 divided by 2. Done. Okay. This guy right here, I want to go from a leg to a hypotenuse, so I have to multiply by square root of 2. So here we go. X equals 2 square root 3 times square root 2. X equals 2 square root 3 times square root 2 is square root 6. Done. Okay. Hope that was helpful. I will